Does the LCS's traditionally slower, more risk-averse style of play hold North America back at Worlds? Peter Dunn notoriously made that claim recently, calling the stylistic clash between Evil Geniuses and some of the other teams a battle for the soul of the LCS. Well, despite those fighting words, EG aren't at Worlds, but relatively sluggish pacing and reactive game plans have certainly been an issue for NA in the past. Playing faster and more aggressively isn't necessarily better, but the LCS's status quo hasn't been generating much success at Worlds in recent years, so it's worth asking whether the league has sped up their game at all since 2020 compared to the other regions. Let's find out. First, we'll take a look at the pace of play chart from last year. In 2020, the fastest, most aggressive regions coming into Worlds were the Commonwealth of Independent States LCL, and of course, Vietnam's VCS. Sadly, we didn't get to see the VCS compete this summer, and they once again won't be at Worlds. So this time around, we don't even have stats to show us what we're missing. Hopefully we'll get those guys back playing soon. The LCS was one of the slowest regions in the world, holding hands with Latin America with almost 35-minute game lengths and under 0.7 combined kills per minute. Fast forward 12 months, and the picture actually looks very different. In last year's video, I shouted out the LCK for learning to play faster as everyone tried to keep pace with Damwon Gaming, the eventual world champions. Well, unfortunately that lesson has been somewhat lost, and Korea has fallen back into its handshaking, objective-focused, mistake-averse, scaling style of play. The LCK is actually the slowest region in the world coming into Worlds, with the longest games and the fewest kills. The LCS is still one of the slower leagues, but combined kills per minute has increased from 0.67 last summer to 0.76 this summer, and games have shortened up by about 1.7 minutes on average, which shows a little more killer instinct. The PCS is now leading the world's pace of play with the shortest game lengths and one of the highest CKPMs. The LCL is still among the faster regions too. The LEC has also made a big jump, from under 0.75 CKPM in summer 2020 to 0.89 in summer 2021. If you look at the individual teams from the top 5 regions, you can see 3 teams leading the charge on game pacing. Fnatic, FunPlus Phoenix, and PSG Talon are the 3 fastest teams coming into the tournament, while T1 and Gen G stand out as slowpokes representing the LCK. Damwon Kia has a noticeably faster pace than the other LCK teams, which isn't too surprising. The 3 LCS teams are grouped relatively close together, but 100 Thieves have played somewhat shorter games than the other 2. The Mad Lions are an interesting anomaly. They fight a lot, with the 3rd highest combined kills per minute on this chart, but their games are also on the long side. They should be very interesting to watch if that trend holds up. Another interesting stylistic comparison between regions is their relative priority or urgency on taking neutral objectives. Last year we saw that the LCS took Dragons earlier in the game than the other major regions, while leaving Heralds alive much longer than any other league around the world before investing effort into the top side of the map. The LCK was the slowest dragon-taking region in the world, while the LCL rushed Dragons and Heralds like their lives depended on it. Among the major regions, the LPL was fastest on killing both the first Dragon and the first Herald. Unfortunately, changes to data access for LPL matches mean we can't pull those numbers for China this year, but we can update all the other leagues. Naturally, there are global shifts in the meta due to balance changes. Dragons are being left up far longer, usually being taken between 8 and 9 minutes this summer compared to 7 or 7.5 minutes a year ago, and everybody prioritizes Rift Heralds a bit earlier now. The LCS is still faster on taking the first Dragon than Europe or Korea, but they take the first Herald noticeably faster than European teams. The LEC clearly spends a lot more time looking for fights in the early game and can't be bothered to put as much effort into taking Dragons or Rift Heralds. Korea continues to be a slowpoke when it comes to neutrals, and the LCL still rush objectives earlier than almost anyone else. But overall, the global meta around neutrals has condensed a little and become a bit more standardized. We know that historically the game speeds up in international play, so expect kill counts to rise and game durations to fall compared to what we saw in these charts. If you want to see the bloodiest, most exciting games, pay attention to the PCS, LPL, LEC, and LCL representatives. And prepare yourselves for some relatively sleepy gaming out of the LCK and LCS.
Thank you so much for watching that video. It's so nice to have you here on my YouTube channel. Why don't you toss a subscribe to the channel while you're here? It's very helpful. Also want to give a big shout out to Alienware. They right now are hosting the Alienware Games. If you've ever wanted to be a pro player, or just not a pro player, but somebody who competes for fun, You can join the Alienware games. Head over to alienware.com/Travis. They've got League of Legends. They've got other stuff. Maybe you don't play League that much right now. Maybe you're playing something else. Either way, alienware.com/Travis. Click the banner at the top. It's very helpful. We'll see you at Worlds.